In today's tutorial, I'm going to share with you how you can set up a new project as a beginner in Photoshop. If this sounds like something you're interested, then kindly join me and let's get it started. Hi everyone, I'm Bright, and on this channel, we make videos on Photoshop and its applications, graphic design, and also share some tech tips. If this sounds like something you're interested, then kindly consider subscribing. Today, I'm going to share with you how you can set up a new project as a beginner in Photoshop. On our previous video, we made ourselves familiar with the interface of Photoshop. Today, we're going to start something new. So join me and let's get started. Before you start up a new project as a graphic designer using Photoshop, there are two ways of doing it. As you have opened your Photoshop application, you can go to File, then go to Open. When you go to Open, it will send you to your File Explorer so that you can go and choose the image you want to come and work with if you want to work on an image. So assuming I'm in the File Explorer and I want to work with this first image, I'll just click on it, then come down here to click on Open. The image will automatically load, then pop up in the surface of the Photoshop for me. That's the first way you can use it. But one thing you need to note is here, the image on the screen here or the image on the surface is acting as a background. That's one way you can use it. And you can start a project. And another way you can also start a project is you can just drag and drop the image in the surface of the Photoshop. So let me minimize this. I'm having one image here or one flyer I made for Ateko, so let's use it. I'll just click on it, then drag it wherever you want to drag it from. You can even drag it from your File Explorer, or you can drag it from wherever you want to, any folder. But here mine is on my desktop, so I'll drag it, then put it in. After that, I will maximize the surface, and that one too, it will be in. That's mostly for images. Here, this image will act as a background. And better still, if you want to start up a new project from the scratch, where you're not going to use any image as a background, or you're not going to use any file, you go to the file, then you go to New. On New, you will get another interface, as you can see here. This interface contains a lot, and today we're going to take our time to explain whatever you see on this interface. We're going to explain what they mean, what we use them for, and how we can even use them. I will begin with the title. Here on the first bar here, you can see name, and this name is, let me say, the title you want to use or the name you want to use to save your project. So as we are doing tutorial here, I want to save my tutorials, so I will now type in the name I want to save it with. So I want to save it tutorial. Yeah, this will be the name. So that's where you enter the name of the project you want to work with. Simple as that. And the next one I'm going to talk about here is also what we call the preset. The preset. Here, the preset is talking about the papers you are going to use, or let me say the sizes of the document or the project you're going to use. So as you can see, there's a chevron here. You click on it and different kind of paper size will drop down. The first one is the clipboard. The second one is the default Photoshop size. And here I'm going to talk about the default Photoshop size. When you click on the default Photoshop size, this is the default size for Photoshop. You can see the width is 7 inches. The height is also 5, so 7 and 5. That's for the default Photoshop size. And use the US paper too. That one is also acceptable. That one too. You have the letter there, you have the legal, you have the tabloid, and they are all having the sizes. And the international paper, that's mostly used, whether you will be printing or not. Mostly international papers are used. And here on the international paper, we have the A4 sheet, this normal A4 we have been using. We have the A6, we have the A5, we have the A3, we have the B5, we have the B4, B3, C6, C5, C4, and DL. The DL are mostly used for making envelopes. And so if you get a new client and you're making a project for him or her, and that person asks you that that person has assigned you to use A3. Maybe I want a poster, A3 size poster, meaning you come here and you choose your A3. That's it. And after the international paper too, we're going to talk about photos. That's we have photo sizes. Maybe if you'll be working with photos too. We have landscape, that's 2 by 3 inches. We have 4 by 6. We have 5 by 7. This 5 by 7 is the default size for pictures. Yes, the normal printed pictures. The actual one is 5 by 7, and we have the landscape. This is 8 by 10. Now to the portrait, we have portrait 2 by 3, portrait 4 by 6, portrait 5 by 7, and portrait 8 by 10. If you are working on photos too, this is how you're going to do it. Now, after the photos, we have web, mobile devices. Mobile devices, if your work will be on mobile devices, but mostly I don't use that one. We have the web here. If you're going to work on videos, one day, most people, I'll do a video on how you can use Photoshop for video editing. Most people don't know it, but it is possible. We can use Photoshop to edit videos. So in my subsequent videos, I will include that. So now, after you have finished choosing your size, here one thing I want to also talk about here, that's a clue for you. Assuming a client asks you to make a poster, A4 poster, in a landscape form, here any document you open will be in a portrait form, that's in the vertical form. But if you want to make it in a landscape form, the only thing you do is just interchange the sizes. So you put the width to where the height is, and you put the height to where the width is. So instead of 210 at the width, I would rather bring the 210 to the height and the 297 to the width. With that, you open the project and the project will be in the landscape form. It applies to any size. You interchange their dimensions, then you get it in the landscape form. The default form for if you're creating a project, automatically Photoshop will make it in the portrait form for you. So if you want to rotate it or if you want to make it in the landscape form, that's a trick I have given you. You can interchange their dimensions. And there is another thing we're going to also talk about. We can see the custom here. Maybe as a designer, the size you prefer is not found in the default Photoshop papers given to you here. So you can customize your own size for yourself. That's what I mostly use most of the times, except maybe I'm going to print an A4 or A3 poster or something like that. But for banners, flyers, and thumbnails and other things, I use the custom. So you click on the custom, it has the permission to enter our preferred size in the dimensions. So most of the time, me per se, I do flyers and other stuff. So let me say I want to make the width 5, and the height I can choose to make it, let me say that one to 5. That's I'll get a square size project. So that one is also for you if you want to customize your own. And after customizing, there are a lot you can also do. You have the unit of measurement here. All my designs, most of the times I use inches. You can change it to inches, but one thing you need to know is you need to change the unit of measurement first before you enter your sizes or your dimensions, else it will change. So assuming I want to make a 5 by 5 inches project, but I didn't first change it. It was automatically in millimeters. Then I didn't first change it to 5, but I just entered it 5 and the height to by 5. You see, so after realizing that no, I have to change, I will go to the unit of measurement, change it to inches, and automatically the weight will change to 0.197. So it won't give me the actual size I prefer. So the best thing to do here is to first change the unit of measurement to your preferred one. You can change it to pixels, you can change it to inches, centimeters, millimeters, but I do with inches. So you first change it to inches, then you now come in to select your sizes, 5 by 5 inches project, and that's it for that one too. And we're now going to talk about the resolution. Resolution is also another thing when you're starting up a project you need to consider. When after setting up your size, you can choose the resolution for yourself. You can choose 72, you can choose 60, you can choose, but this is an advice for you. As a graphic designer, as a beginner, I will urge you to always choose 300. 300, that's it. 300 is good. So all my designs, most of the time, I make the resolution 300 pixels per inch, and that will work fine for you. One clue here is the higher the resolution, the higher the quality of the work too. So if your resolution is high, the quality of the work will also be high. If your resolution is low, the quality of the work will also be low. Let's check one thing here. Now the resolution is in 300 here, yes, but we can see that the image size here is 6.44 megabytes. Yes, 6.44 megabytes. Let's try to change the resolution to 72. You see that the image size has now changed to 379.7 kilobytes, meaning the size has decreased. And the higher the size, the higher the quality of your project. So it's advisable to always set it to 300. That's what I mostly use for my works. So it has now come back to 6.44 megabytes. So that's that one. That's good for that one too. If you use 300, it makes your work quality. And now we move on to the color mode. Color mode too. There are certain things we need to talk about. Here, the color mode here is automatically Photoshop will give you RGB, and most at times the RGB are for non-printed works, the screen works. So if you know you're going to create a project but you're not going to print it, you use the RGB. And another one here, if the work will be printed, it's advisable to change it to CMYK. If you know the work is going to be printed, it's advisable for you to change it to CMYK. And there's one thing here, that's the grayscale. The grayscale here is also another color mode. But please, the RGB and the CMYK are all colors. They'll give you raw colors. But for the sake of ink preservation whilst printing, to preserve your ink, that's why I'm advising you to change it to CMYK. And the RGB is also for screen work, because that one is having a higher color quality and it is not going to be printed, it's going to be kept on screen. So that one will have no ink to preserve. And the grayscale here is also for works. If you choose the grayscale for your project, then any work you do here, any image, anything you do here will be in the form of black and white. That's the color mode for grayscale. It will be in the form of black and white. Yeah, so if you want black and white projects, I want to, you choose the grayscale. That for the bitmap, we don't actually use it a lot, but we use it sometimes. So as a beginner, grayscale, RGB, CMYK is also good. By default, Photoshop will give you RGB. Now we're going to talk about the background color. Most designers don't recognize this one, but you can change your background color too. As you are starting up, you can make your background color white. Automatically, Photoshop will make it white for you, but you can change it. You can make the background color. You can choose a color for it. You choose your color here. we will talk about that one, so you know how to choose these colors. You can choose a background color you want, and you can make it transparent too. You can make it transparent too. So that one is also the transparent mean it won't get any background. And if you don't get any background, assuming maybe I'm creating a logo or something like that, I have to save it in a PNG, and PNG files don't have background, so I can choose that one. But I will advise you to always leave it to white if you're not saving it as a PNG file, but you need a background. So you can save it, you can leave it at white, then later on you come and change it when you start up your work. That's it. And one trick I want to give you before I end this video is, assuming I have finished setting up my size, my resolution, my color mode, my mode of my unit of measurement, my my background content, I'm done. Then I'll click on OK. See, Photoshop will now give me the permission to start my work. So this is the 5x5. It's a square-like project. So this is now I can now start my work. Today I'm not going to start a work, but we just getting to know how we can start up a new project. Now, my final clue: whenever you open a work here, automatically where the mouse is, that's the background. The background is locked. It cannot be moved to anywhere. The background is locked. And so before you can work on it, or let me say if you want to move it, you need to unlock it. So you double click on the background, then you will now change it to a layer instead of a background. So you click on OK, or you can choose to give it a name. You can still leave it to layer 0. It's okay for that too. So you click on OK, and you see that now the padlock just on the background has now been removed, and you can now move your background too. And this is also a tip. Another tip for you is the eye here represent the active backgrounds, or the active layers here. So if you click on it, see that it is gone, though it is there, but it is not viewable here. You can't see it here. So if you click on the eye, you've off it. If you click on it, you've on it, and that's it. I think this will be helpful. And if you think this video is helpful for you, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Share so that a colleague who might also find this one or this video beneficial will also get it and start learning something for yourself. In our next tutorial, we're going to learn another thing about Photoshop, how we can use the tools, how we can work on Photoshop until we move from beginner to the intermediate stage. Just stay with me. Then bye bye.